let me go ahead and start the recording. So today is the 26th and it's Tuesday, 12 o'clock. We have our office trainings here. So first we're going to go into checking out what's happening on the MLS. We want to look for deals. So let's do that. And then also, if you have a deal you want me to look at, just throw it in the chat. I saw that Holly put one in there. Uh, Hello, Misael. I don't know if we know each other, but hello. And let's get into it. Let me share my screen here. Let's see here. So here we go. Let's see what's available. I'm gonna go first to contacts, view contacts. I'm gonna look for myself because I have something set up here, saved. I'm gonna click on that, and then now I'm looking at my saved searches. Um, so my saved searches. Hold on a second. I gotta let some people in here real quick. Um,
They're all
uh,
note takers. You're fine.
okay. Um, cool. So I'm gonna click on new matches. I'm gonna click on 9 and let's see, Rolando, it's an attached unit for $319,000. That seems pretty cheap. And I think it's because condos are kind of dropping in price, like we've been talking about for a while now. Um, but 560 a square foot doesn't seem cheap. So basically, the price seems cheap, but then when you look at the price per square foot, it's expensive. It's not a deal. We're passing on this one. We're going on. And again, just to remind everybody, if you guys have a deal you want me to look at, just throw it on the chat and I'll check it out. Next one, Central Avenue. It's a house. Right off top, this looks really good, 650, but then you see the price per square foot, $902 a square foot. That's really expensive for City Heights. Um, and a 3,300 square foot lot, so it's overpriced. Two bedroom, one bath house for 650. That probably would have sold last year or the year before, but right now it's seems high, seems expensive, but it's a good entry point in San Diego. Better than a condo, 650. Next is we have something off of Market Street, 30th and Market. Looks like 3 units, 1.25 million just hit the market today. Um, Let me see a realtor we know here. Prime Development offering a rare chance to build near downtown. Four-story apartment building was recently completed nearby. So just a heads up, development values definitely have gone down. It's not as hot as it used to be. So I think a lot of development people that are pricing their homes or property based on development, it's overpriced. People are overpricing their stuff. So this house looks like a complete fixture, and I actually remember this house. I think it had some title issues years ago. 1.25 million, way overpriced. And if I just click on this, just to remind myself what it used to be, yeah, I think they had some issues with title. Someone passed away or something, from what I remember, and they didn't have clean title. Might have gone through probate. Maybe it's over. I'm not sure. But anyways, overpriced. Not a good deal. Um, the next thing is a detached home for 821 bucks a square foot, college area ish for 900K. It's not a good deal. Is it price right? Not sure. I'm not going to go through that, but it doesn't make sense for an investor to buy a property like this. Rolando Village, not a bad part of town. Pretty cool. 5,200 square foot lot. All right, let's go on. The next one, Alta Atlanta Drive, 1,200 square foot, three bedroom, two bath, 36 days on the market. Seems overpriced. It's in El Cerritos, it says. Let's look at it. So it's off of Callwood. Um, well, I don't know this market right here. I don't think it's a good deal, but it's really nice. Really nice home. But it might, and then nice yard. So it might be overpriced, but, or it might just be the market, right? The average market time right now is 38 days. So they might get it into escrow any day now. Um, all right. This is interesting. It's a commercial property, 2700 block of Imperial Avenue. for $2.3 million. One day on the market. It says it's 14 units. So let's look at the photo first. Um, looks like this is a rundown property. Looks like it needs a lot of work, but it's, good location because, it's close to the bridge. Um,
It's a corner
but
lot.
but it looks like geez, needs like new roofs. What did he say? Did somebody say something?
It's a corner lot. That's a good thing.
Yeah, corner lot. Um, well, it's funny because there's a lot of owners that say, "Oh, my property's in a corner, it's worth more." And I remember years ago, someone told me that, and I told my broker, and my broker's like, "No, ask him why it's worth more that it's on the corner. Tell him to explain that to you." And I remember I asked the client couldn't explain why it's worth more, So probably good for commercial because you get some good exposure, but for residential, probably not. But anyways, this property seems off the top of my head just overpriced at because it looks like it needs a lot of work. 14 units though. Let's see. Let's read the instructions here. Let's read the full thing. Rare mixed use asset century position, 14 units. So 9 SRO style residential units. So SRO, for those of you who don't know, stands for single room occupancy. So what does that mean? That means that there's like everyone has a bedroom. So there's like 9 bedrooms, and then they share a kitchen and a bathroom type of deal. And then there's 5 commercial storefronts. So 5 commercial properties. Um, and then including, hold on a second, Sadara, if you could take care of this for me. Um, someone's calling me here. All right, including two 4.8 star Yelp. So they have some good restaurants they're saying. So long story short, 2.3 million for SRO property. Let me look at the square footage. Let's do it a price per square foot analysis real quick. Just so I could figure out the actual value. So they bought it in 2014, 11 years ago for 350, and it was 7,100 square feet total, 7,110, and the city has it as 9 units. So if can you guys see my calculator?
Yeah.
Cool, perfect. So 2.3 million divided by 7,100 square feet, that's 323 bucks a square foot. So actually, based on price per square foot, it seems decent, the price. Um, the other analysis I would go to next is I would look at a GRM, but I can't because there's no information on cash flow, rents, or anything. Let me go
I
down
mean,
here.
aren't the
Oh,
rents
right
gonna
here.
be super, super low? Oh, but maybe not the commercial part, and then it'll balance out.
Yeah, so right here, look, it's saying it's bringing in 145,000. So I found it. So let me go back to my calculator. So what I'm gonna do is that's the GSI, gross scheduled income. That's how much it's supposed to receive on a annual basis, okay? So I'm gonna do 2.3 million sales price divided by the GSI, 145,935, and that's gonna give me a GRM, gross rent multiplier. By 15.7 for that condition, it's high. I was hoping to see it somewhere closer to 11 or 12 GRM. And then at that point, it's like, okay, maybe it makes sense. Now, so it's overpriced. The other way to look at it is I'm gonna put in the GSI first, gross scheduled income, and I'm gonna multiply by what I would have thought would be the value, 11. That gives me $1.6 million value. Okay. The last thing I'll show you is I'm gonna take that. You could do a lot with the income with the GSI. So the other thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw in the GSI 145, 935, and I'm subtract operating expenses. What are operating expenses? Taxes, insurance, maintenance, toilets, tenants, and trash, right? And that's gonna run about 40% on a building like this, which is old, needs a lot of work. This gives me the NOI, net operating income, 87,000. Now I'm going to divide this by the asking price. Let's see what the cap rate is. 3.8% cap rate for a building like that. 3.8 is low. So that means you're getting 3.8% on your money if you were to buy it cash. So if somebody says, hey, look, and invest in this great property, I'm going to give you 3.8% return, you probably just want to turn around and run the other way. Unless it's in La Jolla or it's in a great part of town where you're like, yeah, you know what, I'm secure. Values are always going to go up there. Um, so anyways, overpriced, I would say it's worth 1.6, 1.5 ish. All right, we got three more to go. And there's 92114. That's the first thing I noticed. By the way, if you haven't been on these calls, you're just gonna hear me talk about what I see when I look at a deal. Like this, the first thing that I look at, second thing I look at, and I'm just talking out loud here. So, 92114. There's 785,000. What is it? A house detached. 68 days on the market. So, okay, it's a house. It seems like there's no photo. Which, by the way, if there's no photo, it might be a good opportunity because that means that they don't really care. You know, for them not even have a photo 68 days on the market, that means that, shoot, you should go in there and just write up a really low offer. This is by MLK Park, so the neighborhood is, the neighborhood. I don't need to say nothing. Anyways, um, so ultramarine, right? Anytime you get a park named after somebody who fought for civil rights. I don't know. You have Cesar Chavez Park. You have MLK. And all right, opportunity
Savage.
though. Anyhow, 785 divided by 1475. That's 532 a square foot. So I wanted to see if I wanted this to be a deal. I wanted to be closer, somewhere in the fours for sure. For sure, 400 some thousand. I mean, 450 bucks a square foot, sorry. So let's say if we do 450 times 1475, then I might look at it a little bit more closer, but even I think 450 is like value. That's what it's worth, somewhere in that range. But again, there's no photos, but I would say if you have a client looking for a four-bedroom house, you should show them this house and write a low offer.
There's photos on Zillow, but I
Oh,
think it's because he's northern San Diego County. So I don't know. They
oh,
don't,
good.
but they're not that great either, but there is photos. Just
Well, there is photos. So this is a good thing to catch. Good thing you caught this, Claudia, because if you're an agent outside of San Diego, your photos might not upload. Therefore, your client is losing visibility. And these photos, yeah, it looks like the dude took them on his own. I would say it's an opportunity for somebody to go in there because nobody's looking at this thing, and it's overpriced. So I would say go in there and write a good offer for your client. They could own like a decent home, it looks like, for like, somewhere in the 600 range, 650 maybe. Good catch. All right. Duluth Avenue, four bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2,000 square foot of house, 650. This is more like it. This is kind of like a good deal. So the first thing, two things I noticed, 650, four-bedroom house, that's pretty good. And then 2,000 square feet, that's really good. So if we ran just the price per square foot, it's probably gonna be 300 bucks, 320 bucks a square foot or something. Let me see, 650 divided by 2019 square feet, that's $321 a square foot. And if you've been on these calls enough, anything in the 300 range is cheap. That's actually a really good deal. So this one definitely has some room. And where are we at on the map? MLK Park. This one is like in the park itself. So it's not even across the street like the other one was. Let me see. 5,500 square foot lot. It's not bad. Let's look at the condition. Has a garage. You see that detached garage in the back? See, there goes the park. There goes the street. There goes a garage. And it looks like it's a detached garage, right, Claudia? It looks like the only thing is like this little hill goes up hill, but I think it could be a good opportunity for someone newer windows, no photos from the inside. Now let's read this. 4 bedroom, 2.5 bath, TLC, and perfect home, blah, 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 blah. So no further details, but there's two opportunities here, guys. First is, can you flip it, right? Second is, can you split it up and rent them out? So let's go over those two options here. The first one is, let's find out if you can flip it. So I'm gonna, if you guys seen me before, I've taught how to do CMAs. Right now, you're gonna watch me do it. You can watch the replay, but I won't take my time with it just because I want to get to a couple properties. One that Holly put in the chat. If you have a property you want me to look at, throw it in the chat. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna go is search. Then I'm gonna do clear all. I'm gonna clean all this up, and then I'm gonna hit the map, and I'm gonna throw in the address, San Diego. Hit search. It's right here at the park. I'm gonna do half a mile radius, 0.5. And there you go. Now, these are all the properties within half a mile radius. And by the way, when you save this, Vanessa, you can put in here, CMA, learn how to do a CMA. Now, the cool thing, I don't know if you guys noticed, but the MLS just put this in here. ADU, yes or no? That's pretty cool. So now we can search by ADU. So Claudia, if you're looking for a client that's looking for a house with an ADU, you just go here and you can search. That's pretty cool. Now, with that being said, I go from top to bottom. So I filled out the first two. Now I'm going to status. I'm going to active, pending, sold, highlight all of that. And then I'm going to close of escrow date, 6 months back. And then this one's going to be unique. Why? Because it has 2,000 square feet. There aren't too many houses that are going to be this size in this area. So I'm going to do 2,300. I'm gonna do like 300 above, 300 below square feet. And then it also has 4 bedrooms. So if I do that, that's going to even, okay, cool. They're all 6 comps have 4 bedrooms, which is good. So this one's a 2,100 square foot. This one sold for 905. But it looks like it might have some views or something. It looks, oh, that doesn't even look fully remodeled. This is just like a big home. Somebody wanted it. And, oh yeah, it looks like a slight light remodel, nothing crazy. And it looks like they converted the garage or something. So, okay, so that one sold for 420 bucks a square foot. We have a little baseline here. The next one sold for 475 a square foot. It sold for 850, smaller, 1,788 square feet. So this is clean, 475 square foot. And then the last comp that sold, same size, 2061, and it sold for 760. And this one, let's see the condition. Not remodeled, carpet, really old, ugly carpet. Kitchen looks, original. Banisters, yeah, this one sold for 760. So I'm assuming this one that we're looking at, subject property, is probably in this condition. So if they sold this one for 760, that means our subject property is probably worth at least, that amount ish. And then again, like you have a couple pending, 789, the one that I just skipped over, that one's smaller for 785. So going back to our subject property, this one 650, that's a deal. So you buy for 650, you just turn around. You didn't have to do no work, and you probably sell it for 750. Does that make sense? Or you fix it up, spend some money, and then you sell it for 900, which I don't recommend. But so that's the first option. And by the way, I'm just gonna highlight these. I'm gonna hit reports, and I'm gonna hit CMA summary, so I can see the average square footage. So the average square foot price per square foot is 421 a square feet. So I'm gonna do 421 times subject property of 2019 square feet. So it's worth 850, cleaned up, decent condition, I think. Or you buy it for 650 and just sell it to someone for 700. I mean 750. I think the market seems like the comps say it's there, the market's kind of wishy-washy, so you probably want to hook up with an investor that has all cash. That way they're not borrowing money. And so I think it's a good opportunity. Actually, this is what I do next. Whenever I think it's a good opportunity, I do this, guys. I check this little box, and then I do share, then I do text, and then I text it to myself. And then that way I could, at that point, text it to a client and say, hey, I found you a flip. Now, the second option here is you carve out 500 square feet for an ADU. Maybe, this little portion here, or maybe the garage. And then, so the garage can be converted into ADU, this little portion or this little portion or whatever portion into an ADU. So now you have 2 or 3 units, and you could, depending on the floor plan, it might make sense. If you spend 100K on the conversion, now you're at 750 for 2 units. Does it make sense? Maybe, maybe not. I think the price would have to be less if you're doing that. But anyways, I like the size. And then the next one, attached condo, 2 bedroom, 1.5 bath, 780 square foot home. It just, let me see, 92105 City Heights. I wouldn't buy a condo right now for an investment at all, unless it's like a stealing deal, like a crazy deal where I'm stealing the property. This is actually pretty clean, pretty nice, looking at the photos, but doesn't entice me much. Maybe if that number was a lot less. But just for fun, let's go ahead and just run the price per square foot. 410,000 divided by 780. 525 is too high. If I'm buying something, I need it in the $300 square foot range. Cool. So those are 9 properties. We found one deal, one for sure deal with money. Let me exit out of that. Let me go to 3 to 4 units. So let's see what's new in the 3 or 4 units. This one we already went over. This one, a triplex in Chula Vista, a 2-bedroom and 2 1-bedrooms for 910. This ain't bad. If you could buy it, live in one, rent out the other 2. Yeah, this isn't bad, but it just seems like 1,600 square foot total. It looks like these units are super tiny, so I don't think I would want to buy that right now. Let me see. Yeah, 3 units, 1,650 square feet for each. Doesn't seem great. Okay, let me go back. So nothing there, unless you're looking for, you have a client that's looking for a triplex for $900, 900,000. That's $300,000 is a unit. Doesn't sound bad. I think somebody's gonna buy it. All right, the last search I have saved is commercial, residential income. So there's a fourplex in PB, a commercial fourplex for 2.7 million. I'm not even gonna look at that. Doesn't seem like a deal. The next one is 31 units for 4.1 million. That sounds cheap, very cheap. Oh, why? Because they're all single room occupancy, SRO. So they're all basically, bedrooms with no, when they're sharing, bathrooms and all that. And then you got to run it like, you got to be, the management on those is more intensive because you got to be in there, keeping up the kitchen, keeping up the bathrooms and stuff. So not interested in that. And then you have, for 3 million, you get 6 units. And then the Vista has $500,000 a door, or 490 a door. It's too expensive. I don't like it. 6 of units are 1-bedrooms, I'm assuming, and then 4 of the units are another 1-bedrooms. He messed up here, so I can't really tell. 6 dedicated parking spots, fully remodeled duplex, each offering 2 spacious, 4 1-bedroom units. Yeah, I can't tell what it is, but it seems overpriced at $500,000 per unit, but it looks like they're remodeled. All right, cool. Now that's me searching for deals. Now let's look at the chat real quick and let's cover. I know Holly had one. Let's see what you got. Hmm, here we go. Chat.
Myra has, that's the first one I see, 8908 Lamar Street.
Oh,
And
no,
then Kate,
Holly's before that. Yeah, I see it.
oh, I don't see those. And then
All right.
Kate, Misael, you have a lot today.
All right. So I see this on Coronado. Holly, you want to unmic yourself and tell me about this deal that's expired?
Oh man, I didn't notice it when it expired. That must have just happened. I've been looking on LoopNet.
Oh, what's on the MLS expired back in May.
What? No. Well, maybe they just didn't put it on again because it's on LoopNet as active.
Hmm. Understood. Okay, I get it. Yeah, that happens. So
Okay.
what price is it at on LoopNet?
I think they're at two. I want to say it was 2.8. Let me see if I have this up. 2.895.
So these
361 a unit, 362 a unit.
so this one sold for 2.5 like 4 years ago. Um, First Republic, uh, 7,000 square feet. So let's look at it real quick here. So it's 8 units, and let me see if I can pull up the LoopNet version. All right. So what did you see in this property? Why do you want me to look at it?
I have somebody that has been looking and they just said, "Hey, how about that one in Coronado?" So I just started looking at it yesterday and I want to run the numbers and I haven't yet. I know I wanted to do that before I brought it up here so I could follow along better, but
Yeah.
anyway, I just want to know your thoughts on it. It's they're all tiny 1 bedrooms right by the water.
Yeah. I mean, the first thing that stands to me is, yeah, it's right on the water. I mean, I don't know. Is it this one? Yeah, it is
Yeah.
this one.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the ocean's right there. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's hard to beat. I can see why they went at like $400,000 a unit, to start off, because it's like literally on the ocean. It's a nice property. Um, Let me see here. It's right here. I mean, shoot, it's hard to
And I
beat.
think it definitely needs, I mean, the rents are low because I don't think I didn't get to see it inside. I used to jog past this and they did like a nice little facelift outside. It was all pretty. So I think they just haven't done the insides though, because nobody ever leaves right there.
Yeah, so 361,000 a unit, that seems decent,
Yeah.
and they had it higher. So I think, we would have to do analysis to figure out how much per unit is that area selling for. Um, but if you can see my calculator, let's take the rents just to see kind of where the rents are at. So I'm gonna download this um brochure that they have. And let's look at the income. So the NOI is 135,000. That's net operating income. And that's on actuals. Obviously, this NOI will drop the income because when you buy it, your tax base is going to increase compared to what the previous owner had it at, if that makes
Right.
sense.
Yep.
So, um, $135,000, and they already did the math for us, but we'll just do it again. 135,000, 1018 divided by asking price. What's the asking price again? 2.8 million?
0.8, yeah.
2.8.
Mm-hmm.
So 4.8% cap. Um, I think this brochure was when they were asking for more, and that's why it's lower, 4.336% cap. So that isn't bad. Obviously, you're gonna have this is going to change once you buy it because everything goes up nowadays. You buy it, the insurance is going to go up for sure. Um, the so yeah, this is at 3 million, 3.1 million. The insurance is going to go up. Everything's going to go up. The taxes. So it doesn't have anywhere in here like how much rent, gross rents that they have. So we could kind of base our numbers
I
on.
put 2,100 a month, but they were saying you can get 23. Yeah, I think that's what it is. They can get more than that if you really renovated them because of that location.
Let
There's
me see
21
current.
some for like
So here we go.
2,800.
Here's a current and here's a
Mm.
performa. So even if you do current over here on the left on this calculator, 25,920 minus 40% gross scheduled income for expenses, that gives you net operating income. You divide that by 2.8 million. That's a 4.4% cap rate. That's actually pretty good for being on the ocean. So as far as like the value, I think it's there. I think it's right there. And um right here there if you look at the financial summary, they're looking at price per square foot, and this since this price dropped, this is going to drop. You're looking at the current and performer rents. I mean, sorry, GRM. So let's look at a GRM perspective. 2.8 million sales price divided by the GSI 205,920. That's a 13.5 GRM. For the ocean, that sounds cheap.
No, it just looks
So
good.
so maybe they just dropped the price. They're obviously exposing it on LoopNet commercial website. They're not exposing it on the MLS.
Yeah, I'm like, what's wrong
So
with it?
they probably just forgot, because they mostly deal off of commercial stuff. So that might be an opportunity there. So yeah, if I was your client, I would definitely highly look at this property because I mean, who doesn't want to own a property by the ocean?
Yeah,
So to give you my perspective, seems good. Even price per unit at 2.8 million. If I do 2.8 million price per unit divided by 8 units, right?
yeah,
$350,000 per unit. That's pretty cheap for the ocean.
yeah.
So yeah, I would call the client that you're working with and say, yeah, you know what, these numbers look fine. The only thing that you have to do now as an agent is you actually have to run comps. So you go, in here, um, you go to commercial residential income, and then you search for the same zip code, basically 92107. So that's what I would do there, 92107. And then you do units, 5 units to maybe 15 or something like that. And then you do, sorry, I skipped a step, status, everything. And then you just go back 12 months and see what stuff's selling. And by the way, I mean, everything's slowing down, right? As far as like home prices, condos, multi-units. So take into consideration whatever these comps say, it might be a little bit different. This is 10 units for 4.5 million. That's $450,000 a door. And they're not as close to the ocean as the one that you just saw,
Mm-hmm.
which I would say would add value, right? And these are all like you'd have to look at, these are larger, 2 bedrooms. Um, 8 units for 431 a door, 3.3 million. It doesn't show how many bedrooms and bath. Oh, look at these are all 2 bedroom, or no, there's 1 2 bedroom and then all 7 1 bedroom with 8 garages. So that 8 garages makes a difference. This 1 bedroom, extra makes a difference. So you got to go through these one by one. And if you study each one, you're gonna have a really good idea of the value. So right here is 7 1 bedrooms and a 3 bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
And these sold for 3.2 million. And you do a price per square foot for each one. These are like more little cottage style, you know.
Yeah.
It's not as close to the ocean, but it's close enough to be a good comp.
And you got a great zoning. It sounds like you like down the road you can go up 3 stories right there.
Yeah, and that, I mean, that right now, again, like we talked about earlier, development isn't, there's no extra money in it right now. So I wouldn't add nothing extra. These
Okay.
sold for $482,000 a unit. but they're larger. They're 2-bedroom units. So
Mhm.
that's what you have to do, go through it and just, but the value is probably spot on that last price reduction to 2.8 million at 350 a door. That's pretty good.
And then figuring out, I'll figure it out, but just like how much he has to come in with, on a interest only to break even, to not pay anything. That's the other thing he was interested in. So I have to,
He's looking for an interest only loan.
yeah,
Yeah. So
he does
yeah,
everything interest only.
so you just do the math, right? So if he's buying it for 2.8 million, depending on how much his lender wants, let's say his lender wants 35% down, then that's his loan amount. And then whatever interest he's going to pay, 0.08% interest, let's, for example, that's that much, how much a year he's going to pay divided by 12 months. So he's going to pay $12,000 a month, interest only. And then from there, he needs to pay taxes and insurance too. Cool. Thanks for sharing that one. Let us know how it goes.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, of course. All right. The next one I'm gonna hit is Lamar Street. Let's see what we see here on Lamar. Pending. All right. Who put this one in? Tell me about it.
I did. It went pending 3 days ago. I just wanted to look at it to be able to spot them earlier or see them in the future. I figured it's 3 bedroom and bath, and if you convert the garage, it looked like a pretty good deal.
Okay, got it. So 495,000, so it's 500,000, half a million, and 3,800 square foot lot, Spring Valley. So let me see, where is it at in Spring Valley? It's not my favorite part. Okay, so $441 square foot. I think that's not great, but then 495 sounds really cheap for a detached, but it needs work, right? So, um, this sounds high. I don't know if this is right. It just seems super high. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what I
really,
thought. It was weird. It sounds low, but then it's high on the square. So I don't know.
yeah, I think this would be a tough property to flip, but let's see what the value is. So again, just goes back to, did you run any comps?
I,
Okay. So that's the first step is you just got to run comps and see if how much would it have been worth. And there we go. So we got the parameter, go detached. We do active pending solds. We do 12 month or 6 month because it's a residential and it's 1,122 square feet. So we're going to do 900. We're going to do about 1,350 square feet, just like a couple hundred below, a couple hundred above. And it's a 3-1. So that 3-1 part's gonna mess you up because then if you do one bedroom, one bathroom max, there's only 3 comps, right? And if there's only 3 comps, it's like, okay, there's one that sold for 770, 1,300 square feet, and it sold for 588 a square foot and it's remodeled, right? And then the other two, like one's in escrow, we don't know for what, but they're asking 720 a square foot. Sheesh, that's high. But maybe that's what they're worth. And
One of
then
them
there's
was in
this
La
one.
Mesa, though. Wouldn't you take that out?
Let me see. This one, oh, it's on Par Drive. Yeah, it's within half a mile, but it is technically different. Yeah, you're right. So good catch. So what you would want to do is let me change this to maybe 12 months back. There's only one more, so then we might have to run it as a 3-2 and subtract the bathroom from it. So like this one sold for 555, 381, but it's also a fixer upper. So I'm trying to figure out ARV. Okay, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Okay, let's change it. 2, and then I'll take out the La Mesa ones. So 3-2. So now we're looking for 3-2s. I'll take out La Mesa. which start off here. Let's take out this one. So this one sold for $550 a square foot, 650,000. They start off at 715. It's a funky little property. Looks like it's like on a main street kind of. A little yard. The next one is 1,000 square feet, sold for 550 on Lamar Street. 10 days on the market. I mean, they tried at 575, they couldn't sell it. And then Kenwood. Kenwood 555. So we're seeing a lot of 555s. So sounds like there's still some opportunity in if you want to get your client into a house, you could get him a house for under 600, you know. So we look at the price per square foot, it's 512 in that area. So we do a simple analysis, 512 times the square footage, which was, how much was it? 1122. So it might be worth about 575, you know. I mean, if you're lucky, maybe up to 650. But then how much is it going to cost to fix that place up? You know, you're looking at about 60, 70 bucks a square foot. So 1122 times, let's say 75 bucks a square foot, or sorry, 70 bucks a square foot. You're looking at about a $78,000, you know, uh, expense. So if it's worth 650 on the high end, let's say minus 78,000 fix up, you're at 572. Plus, you probably want like some type of profit, right? And if you're using all cash, say you want 50,000, then and then there's closing costs associated. Closing costs on 650, you know, that's, let's call it 6%. So it's somewhere around 40K. And then if you don't have any loan cost, then you could pay maybe, you know, this minus your purchase escrow fees of like 5K, escrow and title. So maybe you could pay 475 for it, 477, you know, to even try to attempt to flip. Which is pretty close to that 495 asking price. So doesn't seem bad, but you'd have to still get it for less. Um, by the way, let's just go with the rule of thumb rule just to see how that would play out. 650, most investors would pay 70 cents on the dollar, 70% of ARV, 455. So you're somewhere in that range, you know. So this is a good rule of thumb. Yeah, that's what the value is, 455 to 475 ballpark. You just have to walk it and find out. All right, good property to look at. The next one is Kate, 2336 Union multifamily. You want to tell us about this one, Kate?
Yeah, this one I got approached to invest in, and
Uh-huh.
right, it's 6 units, and
Uh-huh.
it's right like Little Italy. It's kind of on the flight path. The plan is to renovate and increase rents of the 6 units,
Mm-hmm.
and then in 2026, 27 build and 3-story ADU in the back
Mm-hmm.
with more units.
3-story ADU with more units.
Yeah.
So 2.3 million, 6 units, that's 333,000. So I think the first thing, anytime you're looking at a property, is you just got to find out what the actual value of the property itself is. Number one, and then you find out what the ARV would be, right? Now, in this case, you know, we've talked about the development side of things. You know, developments to me right now, they don't have much value, right? So somebody sent me a piece of land in Chula Vista yesterday for 900,000 and says, well, you could build 8 units. What a lot of these, like this is a real estate broker that sent me this. Well, what he's not taking into consideration is to build 8 units. You know how much time, effort, money, headaches, bliss, and that it takes to even get to that point to build.
It's years.
Because yeah, it's
Yeah.
just years and a lot of money. So whenever someone sends me a deal like that and he says, "Hey, what do you think?" And I said, "Well, is it shovel ready?" Meaning, can I break ground tomorrow when I close escrow and start building? Like, no, you still got to go through the city. I'm just telling you that you could build 8 units. So at that point, to me, that property is worth what other comps are selling for. Like, it's not worth anything extra just because of the zoning or nothing. Like, that boat has sailed. That was 2019, 2020, 21, 22 into 23. But value isn't in development deals anymore. So with that being said, the first thing I'll tell you is um, we have to develop value it based on how many bedrooms and baths and what's existing, right? It looks like it's a good unit mix. It looks like there's 6 units. 4 of them are 2 bedrooms and 2 of them are 1 bedrooms. That's what you want to see because they're good size units. Um, and then um, let's see here. Monthly total rent is 12,460. So let's look at a couple things. First thing is let's look at the monthly total rents. 12,460 times 12, that's 149. Let's just do a quick uh, cap rate test. Oops. Let me see. 12,460 times 12 minus 40% divided by purchase price, right? 3.9. So 3.9% cap, that area, it's close to Little Italy. That's not bad. That doesn't seem too crazy. Um, I think most people would want it closer to like 4.5. Like this pocket's nice. I would say they would want it closer to 4.5% cap, but that's not too far off. And then the next thing is let's do 2.3 million divided by the gross scheduled income, which is GSI, the gross rents, 149, 520. 15.38, that one is probably somewhere in that ballpark. So the value is kind of there. The value seems to be there. Let's see how fast it went into escrow, 46 days on the market. So um, it doesn't look bad as far as value is concerned. And it looks like it's a clean building. It looks like,
There is
obviously
an
they,
opportunity to increase the rents too, because they're not at current, that they're not at market. A little,
nice yard.
so that's where they were wanting to build.
Yeah, I'm not giving any value to that stuff right now as far as, being able to build stuff on it, but let me see. Yeah, 1 bedrooms, they're going for 1695. Yeah, I think I think there is opportunity there. What would you say they could rent for like?
Probably over 2.
And then the 2 bedrooms are 2295 to
Mm.
2300.
And those
So
could definitely go over 3,000.
still right there in that pocket.
I think so.
Yeah, I think with rents right now we got to be conservative.
Yeah.
They're super soft. They're the softest I've seen in years. I was talking to a news report about that this morning. Um, uh, who actually she told me she's moving from Bankers Hill to North Park because it's cheaper, and she got a roommate. So we're starting to see a lot of that. People just moving for cheaper rent, bunking up together, doubling down. Um, I would say the next step is kind of do a projected, right? So if the 1 bedrooms could rent, and again, I'm being conservative because the market, I just see the rents just taking a hit. They've been taking a hit. Um, the 1 bedrooms I'm getting them 1950. The 2 bedroom 1 baths. Does it have parking or is just street parking? Street parking or parking? Can't tell.
I'm looking right now.
I think it's probably street parking. But if I'm 39 for the ones and then the twos are, I would say somewhere around 20, How much would somebody pay for a two-bedroom? Any thoughts from anybody right here in Bankers Hill area, two-bedroom unit? Again, they're not like, they have like old carpet or that old filling, looks like new carpet, but just the old filling. Um, and then, everything from like the little doorknobs, old school. Um, it doesn't scream like a $3,000 unit to me, as far as like the rents that they're getting. So I would say, I don't know, any thoughts? I would say 2,500 maybe. Um, so that's times four, that's 10 grand, right? So now we got $10,000 a month for the two bedrooms, and we're getting 3,900 for the one bedrooms. That's 13,000 times 12, 166 a year divided by, minus 35% or 40% cap rate. It used to be 35%, but everything's so expensive, insurance, and so we're just increasing that. And then if you want to do like, okay, this is the net operating income, what would it be worth on a 4.5% cap, 4.75? That's kind of what people want to see. Um, I'll just do this 4.66. I'll go right in the middle. You know, it's like that's ugly. Well, let's do it on a four. What are cap rates trading for right here in this area? Does anybody have an idea? I would have to say it's around 4.5. Let me see. 100 divided by, I wouldn't go less than that. So I would say, yeah, it's probably do you know what they're buying it for? It has to be less than this, right?
I think it is.
It has to be like high, like 1 point some, 1.9 or some. All right. So I would say the value, doesn't get great value there. Let me see. 100,000. So now let's do the GRM. I think 15 GRM sounds about right in this area, but so then you're gonna have discrepancy between cap rate and GRM value. It's probably even 14 and a half, but 2.5. So it's about, could be worth a little bit more when you raise the rents, but it's a tough property.
Mhm.
I think I like the unit size, the unit mix. It just depending on the rents, what's happening, what's really happening with rents, and just doing like a little rent survey. But the location is prime. It's a good location. I think Mo Coffee is right here on this side, and then you're able to walk into Little Italy. Doesn't look like street parking, but yeah, I would again go and do an analysis as far as like figure out the cap rate in that area, the GRM in that area. As far as like square footage wise, 383 a unit doesn't sound crazy. Sounds like, but after looking at like Holly's property, I'm like, which one would I rather own? I don't know. Maybe the one by the beach. I mean, that's a nice property, but I don't know what the turnovers are because they're all one bedrooms. Square footage is 4,809. So let's do a square footage, uh, 2.3 million divided by 4,809. 478 a square foot. That doesn't seem bad. That seems probably if you run numbers, they're probably going to be in the 400 range, for like somewhere in this range, that area. Um, but yeah, basically my recommendation is if whatever you're doing, just base it off of whatever is existing there and whatever rents you could get to, not considering giving it any value on the development, because I just seen so many developments not finished. Somebody asked me today, I'm in escrow to sell a piece of land and I'm representing the seller. And the seller asked me, hey, Voltaire, do you think this guy's going to develop it himself or is he going to sell it to somebody else? And I said, from my experience, this guy's going to develop it himself or at least try. But from my experience, most developers never get to that point because after 1, 2, 3, 4 years of dealing with the city, dealing with planning, architects, uh, lenders, engineers, you name it, they run out of cash and things change and they're just like, dude, I'm not gonna finish this thing. I don't have enough money. Let me just sell it to somebody else and they could finish the project. So it's very rare that I see somebody go like from beginning to end on a development project. So as long as there's a plan B and you're getting a decent price, I would go in there, you know. Um, so yeah, that's my recommendation on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Um, all right, we have one on Island, 24th and Island. General thoughts, please, Misael. Okay, do you have anything to add above the general thoughts part?
If you can run the calculations that you're doing for the GRM and the cap rates, and if you think it would be a good deal or if the price is too high or too low.
Got it. All right, so you're the listing agent on this.
Yes.
What's going on with your with the listing? Any hits?
A lot of interest, a lot of phone calls. Um, People have made offers, but they're suggesting a lower price.
Cool.
Yeah.
So first thing I notice is I like the pocket, right? Sherman Heights, good
Hmm.
pocket. Um, it's there's a lot of properties on Island that go up for sale and trade. I don't know why, compared to J Street, compared to K Street, and then you see more stuff on L pop up, you know. But Island, especially between this block, there's a lot of stuff. Over here, not so much. So that's my first thought. Um, Second thought is, you do 1.675 divided by 4, that's like $418,000 a door, right? That's um, I wouldn't say that was crazy last year, year before, but right now that kind of sounds high, especially after looking at Holly's, 300 and some $1,000 a unit or whatever it was.
Hmm.
So it looks like it's remodeled. Nice new roof. It has good curb appeal. They did a good job with the gardening and the front lawn and all that. And let me look at let me see. Yeah, 4 mil by, I mean, it looks like a clean unit. I would say the price just based off this, it seems good. 1.6.
Great. Perfect.
Um, but we're not finished yet, right? We still got to do a little bit more. But I mean, my first
Yeah.
thoughts, I'm like, okay, that looks decent, you know?
Mhm.
Um, then I would click on here. It looks like 3,200 square feet. So 3,200 square feet, 3,219.
That's the built
Um,
area.
the what?
The built area.
Yeah, the built area, correct.
Yeah.
So um, my, so 7,100 square foot lot. That's pretty good. So 3,219. Let me go in here. I'm gonna just do a calculation real quick. So the first one is 1675 divided by 3,219. You guys can see my calculator, right? That's fine. Sorry, did I do that right? Let me do that again. 1675 divided by 3,219. $520 a square foot. Okay, so that's like the first thing that's like, okay, that sounds high
Okay.
for like the size of the building. But again, the only way to find out is um, by comparing it to other properties. When you priced it, did you run a price per square foot in the area for multi-units?
I looked at comps of similar properties, but I
Okay,
didn't do specifically the per
so
square.
so write that down. So that's the first thing you do is do a price per square foot. So you take, 4 or 5 other comps that are like this, 3 to 4 units, and you
Hmm.
get the price per square foot for each one, and then you're gonna average it out.
Okay.
Okay, and then at that point you have the sold price per square foot. And if that number is lower than 520, then that's your first indication that maybe the value should be lowered, okay?
Okay.
The second thing is let's look at the unit mix. A 3 bedroom, 1 bath, 2 bedroom, 1 bath, a 2 bedroom, 1 bath, and a studio. And um, that's a good unit mix, a little bit of everything. And then the 3 bedroom is a 2,800 $2,800 a month, 2,350 for the 2 bedrooms. That's pretty good rent. That's actually really good rent, I think, for that pocket. And then the studio, 2,500. Tell me about that.
Yeah, it is a studio, but it's actually two bonus rooms. So there's no doors that fully enclose the spaces, but they're technically considered bonus rooms. There's a floor plan that shows kind of what that looks like.
But what about the rent? Renting out to two different people or something, or
Nope, one person. It's just a bigger unit, and it also has a nice patio in the back.
wow, that's a great rent, like because it's even beating the two bedrooms.
Yeah, and the other one, the second, the 2,350, that one just went to 2,800 for the two bed, one bath. So that's going to change next month.
2,800. And the person already, is it a new tenant or is it the existing
Yeah,
tenant?
it's going to be a new tenant.
And they agreed to 2,800?
Yep.
Shoot, that's really good rent. Really good rent. But it's close to downtown and everything. So let me see. All right. So now let's kind of run a calculation. I'm just gonna go off of this one, then we could adjust it. So 2,840 plus 2,800 plus 2,350 plus 2,500. That's 10,000 a month times 12. Now this pocket, we have to assign it a GRM, we have to assign it a cap rate. I would say for this pocket right now, Sherman Heights, I would say a cap rate is in a GRM. I would say a GRM is about 14. So if we do times 14, you're about there, right? So that covers there. The second one is okay, well what's a GRM in that pocket? I would say it would have to be like 4.75-ish. So we do 125,880 minus about 40% divided by, this is NOI divided by 4.75-ish. That'll give us about 1.59, 1.6. So now you have a 1.59 plus a 1.762320 divided by 2. You're just averaging it. So that's the value based on the numbers, 1.6191, right? You came up with that price. How long did it take you to come up with that price? More than 5 minutes?
Forever. Yeah.
Forever?
Yeah, I
So,
looked through all the comps and I checked everything, but yeah.
yeah. So I think you did the right thing, and I think over time and if you guys do this for long enough, you'll come up with the value in 5 minutes like I did. Now, with that being said, um, the offers that right now the other thing to check on, so you have one homework assignment that's basically the price per square foot,
Yeah.
right? And
Mhm.
then the second homework assignment is find out what the days on market were for the other properties, like the actual days on market, like the comps.
It's 50.
So
Yeah.
go ahead, go ahead.
It's about 50, 45. So we're around
Okay,
there.
cool. And when I say actual, go into the history because sometimes they expire it and then they relist it. So you want to add the first time around as well. Does that make sense? So if you're at 50, and what everybody here on this call has to understand about this market is the market ain't what it used to be, right? Where we're expecting an offer in 1 or 2 weeks, and then if we don't get it, we start getting nervous. The average for San Diego is 38 days. The average for, let's say, multi-units in this area you're telling me is 50. So you're still under that. So I think sellers right now, um, if they don't need to sell, I think they should definitely hold on to their uh, their prices, and they might get them, because that happened to me on the other day on a deal. Okay, the last thing is, um, I just saw that we're like way over on time. My apologies, guys. I know this is an hour call. Syncletica, I'll just get to yours really quick. What comments, questions do you have about yours? Let me see. It's a nice Pine Valley by Alpine. Oh, really nice. What questions, comments you have? Back on the market, 2.2 acres. And you're on mute still. Let me see. 930.
You know what? It's okay, Voltaire. It was a development question, but I don't think it's a good idea after
Oh,
just
yeah.
listening to you talk. It's 4 APNs, and a client was thinking about splitting the two houses and selling off the other two lots.
Mm,
But the family is a stickler on the price, and it just doesn't sound like it's a good time. So,
yeah, I mean, it's 128 days on the market, so they're even though it's a beautiful property, stuff like that over there. I mean, stuff over there takes longer. We all know.
yeah,
Um, and then the only thing I will say with development is a lot of people are interested in developments, and it sounds great. But once you're in it, and I'm telling you from experience, because I
yeah,
developed 5 ADUs so far, and I got plans to build others, and I'm with the city on 3 different projects, and it takes a lot of time, effort, and money. And what a lot of people don't realize is, and by the way, I've been dealing with development clients for years, and it's rare that they complete the job that they started. They usually say, you know what, Voltaire, let's just sell it a few years in, and after they spent a lot of money. So whenever you have clients like that, if they know what they're doing, sell them the development. If not, you know, talk to them and really see if they have a game plan and advise them to your best ability. But development should be dealt with by developers, not just investors or potential investors, because there's a difference for sure. And and yeah, but if you have a chance to like carve out, like for example, I'm in escrow to sell a piece of land. Well, a few years ago, I sold a property to a client, a house on 2 acres, just like this. Well, one of their neighbors just sold, and it borders their land. So we worked out a deal with that neighbor to we're carving out about 1.25 acres or something like that, and we're selling them just that, and we're doing it via a lot line adjustment. So we're not subdividing the lot. That takes too long, too much money, too much effort. So we're selling them a piece of land that they didn't even use for 400 and I forgot the details, $450,000. And
mm,
all we're doing is adjusting the lot line. So it should be a lot faster, easier, cheaper. So with that being said, if you run across a deal like in this, where it's like or has too much land, you might be able to sell off portion to the neighbor, or in this case, there's like several APNs, but I would just do a comp on the APNs, find out what those lands are worth on their own, and but then you're gonna have the issue of, does it have a well? Does it have power? Does it have, um, I guess that's pretty much it. Water and,
yeah,
and power, because
yeah. They're
septic tanks you can
connected
do. Yeah.
there, but I'll look it out. I don't want to take your time, but it sounds like a lot for this particular person. So,
Yeah, and you know your client, so
yeah.
cool. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks for jumping on. Peace, everybody. Enjoy your week. Oh, by the way, I have a couple of announcements. We have um, Coffee and Cash September 10th. It's going to be a good one. 8 a.m. at Provecho. Our next workshop is the Trust 101, Protecting Your Family. So make sure you invite all your clients to that, because again, you're piggybacking onto the workshops that we have. We do all the work for you. You just have to make sure that they show up and you're providing all this value to them. The attorney that's going to show up that day will educate all your clients. Hopefully they get a trust. But that's the beauty, is you don't have to create your own workshop. You just piggyback onto the ones that we've been doing forever, 10 years now. So that's the next workshop, September 13th, Coffee and Cash, September 10th. And um, if I'm in a competition right now, getting coached by my real estate coach. He says I need a bigger online presence. So if you guys get a chance, leave me a 5-star review on Google. And yeah, thanks for joining. We'll see each other. Peace.